Welcome back to Ozarks FOX AM. We are so excited to welcome New York Times best-selling author David Fisher, coming to us from New York City. Great to see you this morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, thank you for having me. It's delightful to be with you guys.
Well, it's our honor.
Yes,
You have such a resume of people you've worked with. You've written books. You've ghostwritten. Did you think, like, hey, I'm going to be a writer and have this amazing career?
Well, it's really the only thing that I've ever wanted to do, and I just can't think of a better way of going through life, because what you do is you get to inject yourself into other people's worlds and see what it's like behind the scenes. And I've been everywhere from your world to biochemistry to baseball and watching rockets launched, you name it. I've sort of had the opportunity to do it.
So you've been curious in a lot of things. I'm like Jeremy. I've always wondered how someone becomes a writer. I guess you just have a lot to say, and you're interested in so many things. And you've partnered with a lot of people, as Jeremy said, Bill O'Reilly on several of his books, and this new one.
Well, this new one, there's actually two new books out. One is a novel called The Executive Order, which is a little bit set in the future. And it's about what I think is going to happen unless we figure out how to get along. And the other one is a nonfiction book with Dan Abrams, who's ABC's legal affairs correspondent, about the Jack Ruby trial, which is really one of the forgotten trials and was the beginning of the entire Kennedy conspiracy industry.
Well, okay, you've already got me fascinated. I have a bajillion questions. Let's go first with The Executive Order, because it is fictional, but it is... you have an inspiration for the lead role, who's a disabled veteran. Tell us about the inspiration and how the book came about.
Well, I did a book several years ago with Glenn Beck, and the idea was that, as he was saying at the time, unless we figure out how to get along, this country's going to be in serious trouble. And we saw this book is set 6 years in the future, after Trump, after Biden, and when essentially the country has pretty much had enough, and we elect an independent who begins to understand the only way to unite the country is through power. And one of the things that very few people know is there are now on the books, Congress has given the president more than 700 special powers. The only one that's ever been repealed is the right to put Japanese in internment camps. And using these special powers, it is possible for a president to literally take control of the country, to just eliminate all our constitutional safeguards. And this is sort of what happens. My protagonist is a disabled war veteran who's in a wheelchair, but a tricked out wheelchair he calls Mighty Chair. I have a very close friend who has spent his life in a wheelchair, and this is he made me sensitive to that community. And as many books do, I've tried to bring my reader into a community they don't know, to deal with the problems that those people in that community have. And it's an action-adventure book. It's a beach read. Hopefully, the reviews have been wonderful, and hopefully it flows very fast for people and introduces them to things and concepts that perhaps they hadn't considered.
So it's fictional, but it's based on actual, like those 700 powers you said.
Yeah, exactly.
That's actually a real thing, but it's a fictionalized story. But that's real. I didn't even know about that.
Well, nobody does. And many years ago, I had a conversation with Alan Dershowitz, and he at that point told me that in his mind, this was the biggest danger facing the country, that these laws are on the books, they exist. I mean, the stories that came out this past weekend just about President Trump potentially using the Insurrection Act, which would have allowed him to put troops in the streets. Whether it happened or not, who knows? We don't know. But who knew about the existence of the Insurrection Act before this weekend that literally enables the United States Army to patrol the streets? And so we do things like that in the book.
So this is interesting. You feel like maybe through this fictional, forecast
Story.
that you can teach people about some things that are going on in the country, because, I mean, it's really important that we pay attention. And I think that that's the problem. A lot of people are just going about their lives and not really paying attention to what's happening.
Well, whatever my politics, we need to figure out how my side can talk to the other side.
Right.
And we're not making a lot of progress there. And if we are to be a United States again, we've got to do that. Or what I propose in this book is the future. One of the amazing things that was happening as I was writing the book was to watch some of the things that I was talking about coming into play and having to make changes. There was a book. The reason this book came about is there was a book written in 1935, a classic book called "It Can't Happen Here," about how fascism came to the United States. And a publisher approached me and asked me to do an updated version. And the truth is that we like to read action adventure. We like to read fast. We're not interested in polemics. So this is a story. It's I like to say a roller coaster, and there actually is a roller coaster involved.
David, I'm sorry, we're running out of time. I want to talk to you more for hours. Please, can you please come back and talk about your other book too, about the Ruby trial? Would you mind coming back?
Love to talk to you.
I would love to hear about that. And when can people buy the new book?
The name of the book is The Executive Order.
All right.
So thank you
so much.
Yeah, I want to read that.
Thank
you, David. We appreciate that.
We appreciate your time. We'll welcome you back for the next book.
Thank you.
All right.
We'll be back right after this. Stay right there. Wow.
Fascinating.
Fascinating read, I'm sure.
Well, what's weird is 700 powers I never knew about.
Well, that's not what I'm saying.
I was like, huh?